In the heart of Europe, surrounded by nations swallowed by Hitler's armies, one small country remained untouched. Switzerland, neutral, armed, and defiant, stood like a fortress among the ruins. Nazi tanks rolled across Poland, France, and the Low Countries. Yet somehow, they stopped at the Swiss border. Hitler's empire stretched over a continent, but the cross of Switzerland still waved above the Alps. Why? Why did one of history's most ruthless war machines never invade a nation right in its path? A nation it easily could have crushed. The answer is far more complex than simple neutrality. When Germany invaded Poland in September 1939, Europe erupted into war. The Wehrmacht, unstoppable and efficient, began its march toward domination. Within months, Hitler had crushed Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. Each conquest brought the Reich closer to the Swiss border. By June 1940, after France's collapse, Germany encircled Switzerland on nearly all sides. It seemed inevitable that this small Alpine republic, home to only 4 million people, would be next. And yet, it never happened. Switzerland, a landlocked nation with no natural allies nearby, braced for the worst. The Swiss army mobilized almost 500,000 men, a staggering number for such a small country. They dug fortifications into the mountains, laid explosives on key bridges, and prepared to destroy rail lines and tunnels at the first sign of invasion. The Swiss commander, General Henry Guisan, knew that Switzerland could not defeat the Wehrmacht in open battle, but he could make the cost unbearable. His plan was known as the WWII National, the National Redoubt. If Germany invaded, Swiss forces would retreat into the Alps, destroying infrastructure as they went, and turning the high mountains into a fortress. Hidden bunkers, artillery nests, and supply caches dotted the passes and tunnels. If Hitler wanted Switzerland, he would have to climb into the teeth of the Alps to get it. For Hitler, this was no small obstacle. The German war machine thrived on speed, mobility, and logistics. Blitzkrieg relied on tanks sweeping across plains and roads, not crawling up mountain passes under artillery fire. An invasion of Switzerland would have been slow, brutal, and costly, but military terrain was only part of the story. Switzerland's neutrality had long been recognized under international law, but neutrality alone didn't save nations in World War II. Belgium and the Netherlands had been neutral and were crushed in days. The difference lay in Switzerland's geography, its readiness to fight, and its economic and political value to Germany. During the war, Switzerland served as a vital financial hub for both sides. Swiss banks handled gold, foreign currency, and assets for Nazi Germany, much of it stolen from occupied territories and Jewish victims. The Swiss franc provided a stable medium for trade when other currencies collapsed. In exchange, Switzerland imported food, coal, and other essentials. German trains also passed through Swiss tunnels at times, and Switzerland acted as a back channel for espionage, diplomacy, and trade. To Berlin, Switzerland was useful alive. It's easy to assume that Hitler spared Switzerland out of respect for its neutrality, but that wasn't true. Hitler despised Swiss democracy. In private conversations, he called the Swiss a pimple on the face of Europe, and spoke openly of annexing it one day. His generals drew up invasion plans more than once. The most detailed was Operation Tannenbaum, a joint German-Italian plan prepared in 1940. It called for more than 300,000 troops to storm Switzerland from all sides, crushing resistance and seizing key cities like Zurich, Basel, and Bern. But Tannenbaum was never executed. Why? Timing, priorities, and cold pragmatism. In the summer of 1940, after the fall of France, Hitler's attention turned toward Britain. The Battle of Britain was about to begin. Germany's resources, aircraft, fuel, and manpower base were directed toward preparing for an invasion across the English Channel. An attack on Switzerland would have diverted divisions and consumed valuable supplies for little gain. Switzerland had no oil, no colonies, and no major industrial centers worth the blood it would cost to take them. And even if Germany occupied the lowlands, the Swiss army's WWII defense ensured that the mountains could never be fully conquered. It would have tied down divisions that Hitler needed elsewhere, especially once Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union, began in 1941. There were also diplomatic considerations. Switzerland served as a neutral ground for international relations. Both Axis and Allied powers used it for espionage and negotiation. It became a hub for intelligence exchanges, prisoner-of-war communications, and secret talks. Destroying Swiss neutrality would have complicated this web of shadow diplomacy, something even the Nazis found occasionally useful. Yet despite this uneasy coexistence, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Swiss airspace was frequently violated. German bombers occasionally crossed the border, whether by accident or design. In 1940, the Swiss Air Force shot down several German planes that intruded into their territory. Berlin was furious, and the Swiss ambassador in Berlin faced severe pressure. The Swiss government eventually ordered its pilots to stop engaging German aircraft, but the message had been clear: Switzerland would defend its skies. On the ground, the Swiss border became a line of fear. German troops were stationed just across it, and invasion rumors spread frequently. The Swiss dug deeper into their fortifications, storing months of food and ammunition. Soldiers swore oaths to fight to the death rather than surrender. The fear was not unfounded. Hitler's ideological vision included a greater Germany encompassing all German-speaking peoples, and much of Switzerland fit that description. The Nazis had even created propaganda maps showing Swiss territory absorbed into the Reich. For a time, it seemed only a matter of when, not if, Switzerland would fall. But the longer the war dragged on, the less feasible an invasion became. The Eastern Front consumed men and material at an unprecedented scale. By 1943, as German fortunes turned, invading Switzerland would have been military madness. The Reich needed Switzerland's trade routes and financial services more than ever. Still, Swiss neutrality came at a moral cost. To survive, Switzerland made compromises, some of them dark. Swiss authorities turned away thousands of Jewish refugees at the border, sending many back to almost certain death. The Swiss National Bank accepted Nazi gold, some of which had been melted down from jewelry and dental fillings taken from Holocaust victims. While ordinary Swiss citizens often sympathized with refugees and the Allies, their government's policy was one of cautious self-preservation. Behind closed doors, Swiss and German officials negotiated constantly about trade, borders, and political cooperation. The Swiss exported precision tools, machinery, and goods that indirectly supported the German war effort. In return, they imported fuel, coal, and other vital resources. Neutrality, in practice, meant walking a razor's edge between morality and survival. Meanwhile, the Swiss resistance spirit never faded. Civilians trained with rifles, and propaganda urged citizens to resist occupation at any cost. Swiss newspapers, while censored, often hinted at defiance. And as the Allies gained ground, Switzerland subtly shifted closer to their side, offering humanitarian aid, sheltering downed Allied pilots, and serving as a base for Allied intelligence networks. By 1944, as Germany crumbled, Swiss neutrality once again proved its value. The country became a refuge for diplomats, refugees, and even spies. From its embassies and Red Cross offices, Switzerland coordinated prisoner exchanges, protected foreign nationals, and helped save thousands of lives in the chaos of collapsing Europe. In the end, the Swiss flag continued to fly over a free nation, untouched by invasion, but not untouched by war. Its cities were never bombed, its borders never crossed by German tanks. But Switzerland's survival was not the result of luck or moral purity. It was the product of cold calculation, military readiness, and geography. Hitler had the means to invade Switzerland, but not the motive strong enough to justify the cost. The mountains, the fortresses, the neutrality, they all combined to make Switzerland more valuable as a neutral banker and a diplomatic crossroads than as another occupied province. After 1945, as the truth of Nazi atrocities emerged, Switzerland faced harsh criticism for its wartime conduct. Its financial dealings with the Reich were exposed, and questions about the morality of its neutrality still echo today. Yet, during the most destructive war in human history, the Swiss achieved what almost no one else in continental Europe did: survival without surrender. It is one of the great paradoxes of World War II, that a tiny nation, hemmed in by Hitler's empire, managed to remain free not because it was untouchable, but because it was too useful, too costly, and too defiant to destroy. In the end, Switzerland's survival was not a story of luck, but of cold realism. A nation that armed every citizen, built fortresses into the mountains, and made itself indispensable to both sides, managed to outlast the storm. It stood in the middle of Hitler's Europe and survived, scarred, but sovereign. But the question lingers: was Switzerland's neutrality an act of courage or of convenience? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into World War II history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a new upload. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.